Coach, I hope you've had a great week, sir. Welcome into the game in Tuscaloosa.
Brian, it's been a good day. I've worried a little bit. Alabama won the game, didn't play as well as they've been playing in the past, and they got a tough game coming up this week with Mississippi State. So I know that they got some injured players, but they're a better football team than Mississippi State. But I think it'll be a good, tough matchup.
Well, Coach, it's kind of an unusual year when you look at the injuries at a linebacker position for Alabama. They've lost a ton, and they've got four guys that have been out for significant time. They've had other guys banged up and missed a game here and there. Two more go down with season-ending injuries on Saturday.
Well, that's a bunch, but that says that they've got a bunch. They would be in bad shape. I bet the guys that play will perform pretty well, to tell you the truth.
Well, Coach, and I like to highlight assistant coaches for what they've been able to do. And, they haven't missed a beat, and that's a reflection on Jeremy Pruitt and what he's been able to do.
He's done a beautiful job, and I can't tell you how proud I am of Jeremy. But the defense has just performed well week after week after week, and that doesn't just happen either. They've got good players, obviously, but when you banged up, you put different players in, and they still perform well. That says a lot for Jeremy.
Coach, when you look at LSU and Alabama, it's been one of those physical contests. It's kind of, I guess maybe you might label it a little old-fashioned football, but it's so physical when you're on down on the sidelines. I mean, these guys are teeing off on one another. Physical football game. That
was, and Alabama didn't win the game statistically for the first time. Alabama had the ball 25 minutes, and I think they had it 34 minutes, and third down was 5 out of 14 and 9 out of 19. So it was not the best game that Alabama's played, but Alabama won the game against a tough opponent. So and that's the bottom line, and I think they're going to have to play good this week. I think they will, but Mississippi State beat Texas A&M extremely bad, and Alabama beat them by like 8 or 9 points. So that has anything to do with it, which I don't think it does, but it does show that Mississippi State has a decent football team.
Coach, just outside of Alabama, or you can certainly stay with the Tide if you'd like, what else grabbed your attention in college football this past weekend?
Well, I think that Georgia is still playing pretty well, and Clemson had a tough time. They beat North Carolina State 38-31. Was a close game. Notre Dame is continuing to win, and Oklahoma just really waxed Oklahoma State, scored 65 points, and I think that was a sort of a wake-up call for them to have a chance to get up in the top 4 or 5 for Cardinal and have to play this coming weekend.
Coach, when you look at what Alabama's been able to do with the parity in college football, it almost goes back, and we've got an audio clip from you. Every day we start our show, and there's a clip in there talking about what Nick Saban's been able to do, and you talked about being consistent. It's Nick Saban makes it look easier than what it is to be able to stay at the top. We see all these upsets and Ohio State getting beat and all these different rankings of teams getting beat. It just gives us a little bit better understanding of what Coach Saban's been able to do here in Tuscaloosa.
Just a magnificent job he's done. When you think about 9 or 10 years of not being an underdog, that says that you've got good players and they're extremely well coached. I can't think of anybody, but he's probably the top paid coach in the country, and he deserves it. They can't pay him enough money as far as I'm concerned. What a great job he's done over a period of time. It's relatively easy to maybe have one good team, but to have it year after year after year after year really takes some well planning and good players and keeping them on an even keel, and that's not always easy.
Coach, one of the players that went down this past weekend was the signal caller on Alabama's defensive side of the football. It was not only a season ending, but he's a senior with a knee operation, so he's done for his career here at Alabama. How do you get that next guy up mentality, because that signal caller is so important to make sure all the guys are in the right position?
Well, you do. Most of it is just done during the week. Back when I was coaching, my signal caller most times just called special. that meant on a certain formation they're going to play a certain defense, another formation, another defense, an unusual formation. So if they could learn the word special, everybody knew what they were talking about. Everybody's calling it playing the right defense at the same time. So I'm sure that whoever's the backup man, they're not going to leave all that pressure on him to make the right call.
You know, Coach, there's a lot of people talking about the playoffs, and, you know, they'd love to get to 8, 10, 15, 20, 30, whatever team playoffs. Coach, we're in playoffs right now. There's nobody that can afford a loss, and we've got some great games this weekend. Georgia, Auburn, Notre Dame, Miami, TCU, Oklahoma. I mean, we're in the playoffs right now in the month of November.
Well, that's right, because if you lose a game, you're out of the big playoffs, and I don't care who you are. If Georgia loses to Auburn, they could very easily fall to the 5th place. And if Alabama loses to Mississippi State, I don't think they would drop that far. But if they have a tough time against Auburn, then they could be out of the playoffs. And Clemson's playing Florida State. Florida State hadn't been very good this year, but if they lose that game, that means Clemson's lost 2 games. And Oklahoma and TCU, one of those is going to be eliminated. Miami playing Notre Dame. One of those big games is going to be eliminated. So, yeah, this is the real playoff if you don't know the bottom line.
And that's why I love college football. This month is great. There's no reason to leave the recliner on Saturday. I mean, too many great college football games.
And this weekend especially, Auburn and Georgia, what a big game that's going to be. And then Alabama and Mississippi State, Oklahoma and TCU, and Miami and Notre Dame, and Wisconsin, I think, is a good football team. They're undefeated, and they're playing extremely well. And, of course, got to say something about SMU. They're playing Navy. They played a good game last week, but ended up losing by 6-7 points.
Hey, Coach, what is your opinion? You look at Notre Dame and not having a conference championship, you know, that's one less game they have to play, one chance less that they'll have a chance to lose. Should we make them go into a conference? I mean, what do you think should happen there with Notre Dame?
You know, I've never played against Notre Dame, never coached against Notre Dame. I don't really keep up with Notre Dame. I feel like that if they're going to be in the playoffs, that they need to at least play 12 games. And that the people that's making those decisions can easily say that. Now, if you want to compete for the championship, you've got to play at least 12 games, and then they could get. And it has to be a high-ranking team. If you're not going to be in a conference.
Let's take some phone calls. The phone lines are jammed up. People have been waiting for a long time. Let's go as we always do. With Red, on with Coach Stallings. Red, good afternoon. You're on with Coach Stallings.
Good evening, Coach. I'm so glad to hear you're doing better the way you can do a little work there, sir.
Red, I appreciate it. I'm feeling good, and it got a little rain, so it makes me feel better, too.
That's great. Hey, Coach, I want to go back to when you and the rest of the Johnson boys had y'all's reunion with Coach Bryant showing up. Could you tell us a good old story from that reunion? And did Coach Bryant say anything
I was not
that you think about today?
When we had the reunion with the A&M players with Coach Bryant, I was not there. I was coaching for the Dallas Cowboys, and we were in a mini camp, and I had to miss that reunion. And I really hated it, but I had to miss it.
Well, I've been done. I hate to hear that. I sure thought you might be able to tell us a good old story from that when y'all got together. Well, what about the other reunions y'all had together? Give us a good old story from that.
Said that again, Red.
Hey, the reunion you had not long ago with the A&M players. You can tell us a good old story from them.
Well, I could, but I won't. But it was what a joy it was to be with those players, both at A&M and Alabama. The Alabama players, they obviously won the national championship. The A&M players won the Cotton Bowl and beat Alabama in the Cotton Bowl game. And what a joy it was to see those players. You know, the game's for the players, not for the coach. And that's the reason I wanted to be there, to show my respect. And probably shouldn't have gone, but I did, and I'm glad I went.
Well, Coach, as always, it's great talking to you, sir. And appreciate you taking the time to talk to us common folk there and tell Miss Ruth Ann hello. And y'all have a blessed day, sir.
I'll do it, Brett, and good to talk to you, and hope you're feeling well.
No doubt. Thank you, Red, for your phone call, 205-342-9904. J.K., you're up next with Coach Stallings.
Hey, Coach, it's good to hear your voice today. How you feeling?
J.K., I'm feeling pretty good, to tell you the truth. I've been doing therapy 3 days a week, and I think that's making me feel better, and a little rain makes me feel better, so I'm feeling pretty good. Thanks for asking.
That sounds like a good plan. Coach, I'm not going to take too much of your time today because I know a lot of other people want to get in. But there's just one question I got to ask you today since this is Mississippi State week. Tell me about those dead gum cowbells in Mississippi State and what you think about them.
Well, they have a rule that you can't ring those bells. And every time we'd play them, they'd ring those bells, and I'd go to the conference meeting. I said, look, we have a rule that says you can't use the artificial thing to make the racket, the bells, and say, yeah, you can't do that. And then that just make them turn them on a little bit louder. So I just started ignoring it, but it sort of bothered me, to tell you the truth, all that cowbell ringing.
Did it have any effect on your team when you played over there, Coach?
I don't think so. You know, as long as you don't put an emphasis on it, and you just mentioned to the guys that there are going to be some cowbells, but, you know, and I'm sort of the old school. I feel like the opposing team should have the opportunity to snap the ball. I've never waved my hand or asked my players to make a lot of racket when the opposing player is trying to snap the ball. I think the game should be settled between the players and not because one team can't hear. And so all that waving and hollering and yelling right before the snap the ball, that's just a personal opinion, but I'm opposed to all that.
Well, I agree with you 100%, Coach. Coach, it's always a blessing to talk to you. God bless you today, and I hope you have a great weekend. Your team wins this weekend.
I hope so, too. If Alabama can get by Mississippi State and SMU can beat Navy and A&M going to win their game they played in New Mexico, it'll be a good weekend for me.
Let's go to Jason. Jason, right here in Tuscaloosa. Good afternoon, Jason. You're on with Coach Stallings.
Hey, Coach. How are you today?
Jason, I'm fine. Thank you.
Great. I'm very glad to hear that, Coach. In about a week and a half, I'm going to have the privilege to be able to see you here in Alabama, and I am very honored and tickled pink to be able to possibly to get you to sign something that has Coach Bear Bryant, and I recently got Coach Nick Saban to sign as well, and I'm really hoping to be able to, when I see you, to get you to sign that.
Well, I'll be tickled to death to do it.
Well, thank you so much, Coach. I just had 2 small questions for you.
All right.
Number 1, how are you? How are you feeling? How's your health? Because we are concerned about you. We do care about you. And number 2, when Alabama and Texas A&M play, do you ever catch a hard time from either side if one of the other team loses or wins? And I'll hang up and I'll listen. And thank you very much for being here today, Coach.
Well, it's been only just one time when Texas A&M beat Alabama, and that was the first year they were in the conference. Caught a little flack, but people ask me all the time, who do I want to see win the game? And I said, well, do you have children? They said, yes. I said, well, which child do you love the most? And so that usually ends the discussion on that. But obviously, I want the best football team to win, and so far it's been Alabama.
Yeah, and I never ask you that question. I always skip that one. When you look at Texas A&M, we try to have a lot of respect for your alma mater there. Let's go 205-342-9904. We've got one line available right here. Ellis, you're on with Coach Stallings. Good afternoon, sir.
Good evening, Coach Stallings.
Ellis, how are you, my friend?
Cold right now. It's cold up here in Tennessee.
I'm going to be in Tennessee tomorrow.
Oh, what part of Tennessee?
Well, I don't really know, to tell you the truth. I'm speaking at a FCA event, and it's in southern middle of Tennessee, not too far from Nashville, I don't think.
Oh, okay. Well, you better wear a jacket tomorrow, because it'll be cold.
I'll do that. Thanks for the advice.
What I was going to ask you is, what do you think about all these people that's disagreeing with all these Alabama fans that's disagreeing with Jalen Hurts?
Jalen, are you talking about the quarterback?
Yes, sir.
I tell you, they wouldn't be nearly as good without him. I think he was the reason that they beat LSU. Myself, I just think he's done an outstanding job as a quarterback. I would love to have had somebody of his caliber when I was coaching, even though Jay Barker only lost 2 games in his entire career, but he didn't quite have the talent that Jalen has. But I think he's one of the reasons that Alabama's undefeated.
Well, Coach, that's a great way to end it right there, talking about Jalen Hurts, the quarterback at the University of Alabama. And we always enjoy the conversations. Coach, so you're going to go to Tennessee tomorrow? Are you going to go back to Texas in a couple of days, or are you going to be there in Tennessee for a couple of days?
No, I'm going to Tennessee and flying in tomorrow around 3 o'clock and having the speaking engagement, then I'm flying back. I'm sort of weaning off of going commercially. If they can't fly me up, fly me back, well, I'm looking for some other place to go. Let them get them another speaker.
Sure. But is Miss Ruth Ann going to be able to travel with you?
No, not this time. But I'm just flying up in a private jet and be flying right back. So it'll be a relatively easy assignment for me.
Well, good. I'm glad you are feeling a lot better. You sound great, and we always thinking about you here, Coach, in Tuscaloosa, and we appreciate you for being a part of our show.
I appreciate it, and listen, Ryan, be sure and tell Coach Saban I said hello, and good luck when, I know he wants the team to play a little bit better, but remind him that they did beat LSU, and that's a big deal.